Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Master Division in the Fuji Open Tournament. Video here is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, so let's go. On hole number 1 I'm going to show you two approaches, one with a power 3, a kingmaker, and then one with a special ball. So first we're going to look for the fourth bounce. So we do have 1, 2, 3. The fourth bounce should be inside the hole. It's tough from this angle to look, but try your best. That's at least the plan. And once you find that spot, you are going to add half a bar of topspin if you do have wind that is above 10.5 miles per hour. No side spin whatsoever, only that topspin. Then you play maximum distance with a 30% over adjustment. So 30%. You can see we go short, but I didn't use any topspin here. So topspin is needed when we do have a higher type of wind. So go over to a wind 5 power 2 ball, a turkey ball. And we're going to play power 2 numbers, maximum distance, same type of structure, fourth bounce in the hole, giving us a maximum distance with a 30% over adjustment. And then we're not going to add any topspin, any backspin, or any side spin. Just going to do as it is. Make sure that you are inside the hole with the fourth bounce, so you're not aiming just slightly right or slightly left, then you're most likely going to miss the hole. This type of approach with the turkey ball has dropped a lot for me, and it comes from an older tournament where we did have the same type of wind, so it's pretty easy to replicate, make it a little bit better. So this one is very good. So hole number 2 here, I do decide to play aggressively. I do want to find myself going for the dunk, and I don't want to spend a wind 5 ball here, so I do want to play with a power 3 ball. If you do have a centurion, that could be a perfect type of ball to play with, honestly, as you reduce the wind, still have a power 3. Here I'm not making it more complicated more than that. I'm looking for half of the blue ring, cutting the rough line on the left side there. Now we only used the red ring, which made us go into the rough, but there's nothing super bad with that. We're just getting to a different spot. But I'm going with the max overpower shot to give myself distance, so I do have a dunk opportunity with the thorn. And that's up to you to decide, as it is on this hole every single time. There is a thorn dunk, but there's also a shot where you can bounce yourself up, which I'm going to do now, as we did mess up the drive a little bit there. The drive in itself is 10% extra. You do need to add that to your adjustment. I'm using 1 ball of curl outside the adjustment ring to the right, 5 bars of topspin, and as much side spin to the right possible. Our opponent did just go with a regular shot, and that's not gonna work. So it's either going to have to go with a dunk, or you will have to bounce yourself up towards the green. You play whatever you feel comfortable with doing. Here you can see with the thorn level 8, we do have a very lovely ball guideline. That's the same that we do have with the Hornet. But if you're going to play this type of approach, I would rather see yourself playing up like more conservatively with your drive, and that will leave you having a long iron towards the pin instead of a short iron. So now I'm playing this one maximum distance with nothing extra. I do forget to compensate for the push we are going to get from the crosswind. So in the end, I do need to add a little bit more. This is only max distance adjustment. That should be adding 10% extra here to get the correct type of bounce up here on the hill. So I'm getting myself towards the pin. So if you're going for the dunk, have in mind there is a different elevation adjustment. That's a minus 10%, which means that you're playing that one uphill. Hole number 3. Here I'm going to show you 2 approaches towards the pin. And first we're going to take the drive here, and I think the drive is important to have in mind that if you do have an Apocalypse 7 with all that topspin, a power 3 ball will be no problem to get yourself over there. You most likely will cut your rough and roll out, but you will have no problem. A power 4 ball would be the ultimate type of situation. That would be perfect. You will have no problem. You can even hit the shot great in a pretty massive way and still get yourself over the rough, even though you might bounce into the rough to go over. If you do have a club with lower amount of topspin, which many of you will have, like an Apocalypse 5, 6, maybe a Thor's Hammer 5, or something like that, or an extra mile level 8, then you need to play with a power 4 ball. Otherwise you will not be going over that rough if you're not being very, very lucky. So a power 4 ball, like a dead ball. So let's say that there's a power 4, wind 3. So dead ball, royal ball, we do have a Kingmaker X, we do have the Champions 100 balls as well, if you win the clan league. So there is options. New season 10 ball is good as well. So now when we come into the approach here, we can do two ways. We can either go with the Guardian using a max backspin approach, aiming for the back end of the green. Now I do mess up this one a little bit as I'm using side spin to the left. I shouldn't have done that, but you can see the trick. So the thing that I want you to do here is to not over or under adjust anything. This one is played as 0. As for the drive, is then played with a 10% extra. So you can see here, we are turning the screen around. We do have a perfect view there, like in between the trees, making a max distance adjustment with nothing extra. Max backspin, and the side spin here is definitely what mess up it for us here, as we're coming in with the ball bouncing there, and we bounce directly to the left. We have a good speed, as you can see. We roll down and have no problem with that. So let's take a look at the second option here that we are having. First, we're playing with a power 4 ball, and I wanted to show you that one, what the difference will be. So with a power 4 ball, and of course an Apocalypse level 7, and now we even have wind resistance for as well, this one could actually clear the rough completely, which I will do in this case. It surprised me a little bit, but it was a nice surprise, honestly, because it gives us a very good opportunity towards the pin. So if you do have a power 4 ball, in this case the drive will be so much easier, and so I wanted to cover that as well. But I do think that the best thing for us when we do go over the rough here is the option number 2 here, is that we can actually go for the rough bump. The rough bump is a thin rough bump. It is important that you do have your adjustment ready. Note down the yardage on your drive so you can replicate a situation from that, so you're not going in blind every single time. Now I went very far, so I'm going to play with a long iron here from distance, which I'm not mad about, but most of the times as we're going to bounce in the rough, it's going to be a sniper approach towards the pin. And then of course judge are your medium distance, maximum distance, and then you take your shot. It is though super important that you just have in mind that if you mess up the rough bump, you risk bouncing over the bouncing on the fringe, over the green, and go out of bounds. So okay, the approach shot here, we do have, as you can see, the Goliath level 8. And we do have a very nice wind here. We're not even in maximum distance of our club. So the only thing here that I would change to my adjustment is that I'm playing this one in between medium and maximum distance with my shot. But I would like to play this one maximum distance instead, as it seemed to that we do need a little bit extra here. 2 bars of topspin. Make sure that the ball guideline go through the hole, as we do have headwind, so when you bounce in the rough you get a massive compressed ball guideline. So therefore you do need to use topspin so you have the ball guideline go through the hole. The spin with a sniper most likely will be different. It could be all from 1 bar backspin to 2 bars of topspin, depending on the distance you get with your sniper. We just missed this one to the left of the pin, but definitely a possibility to dial it in. Hole number 4, also 2 type of approaches. I'm looking for the edge here of the bunker using the wind, as we're going to go with a power slice for the green. So in this case I'm going to use as much side spin to the right possible with a berserker, which is 4.5. And also going with, in that case, going with a decent amount of backspin, which is 6 bars. So going with that, we're going to bounce ourselves, 5 bars it was. 5 bars of backspin, and we're going to bounce ourselves here on the fairway. You can see that we're coming in with a very high bounce. That's the reason we do that, is because we're hitting like an uphill plateau on the fairway. And that's the thing with this hole here, everyone, that you will get a different bounce almost every single time. And that's not really something you can control, but you can control that you're getting yourself around the green, and then you will have to rely on your rough iron or on your sandwich to be able to get that ball in the hole. Make sure that that you get a wind that is around 15 miles per hour plus. That's what we do want to get. A 13 mile per hour with a berserker will be hard. So that is why I'm going to show you a second attempt after the rough iron wedge here, which is going to be with a snow globe, because I'm going to change once I do get wind that is very low with a berserker. I'm going to change to a snow globe or a turbo ball or a ghost ball or something like that, so I get more wind and I can be able to replicate the shot a little bit better. So once again, this isn't a shot that will get you to the green all the time. You will sometimes get to green, you will sometimes be in the sand, you will be sometimes in the rough. It sucks, but we do need to take that shot and take that risk, as just lay up is going to be tougher to get the ball in the hole than a short wedge here from the rough or from the sand, or even a putt, obviously. So here we have a 16 with a globe, same type of thing. Here I'm using 4 bars of backspin instead, but I'm using more side spin. And the side spin here is of course something that we do need to tweak a little bit. We come in very nice when it comes to with the spin here, but as we're only using 4 bars of backspin, we are not getting the kick back in that we needed. So we do need to use more backspin here, even though it seems that we not, because in this case here I would rather go short looking for a maximum backspin than just going long all the time. So I would actually see this one as we could actually use a maximum backspin approach here with our Apocalypse level 6 or level 7. And of course, when it comes to Apocalypse 5, or Apocalypse 4, we don't have that much backspin. We need to back up maybe a little bit to get ourselves out there. But once again, have in mind, we do need to try to get a bounce that get us over there, not just a dead bounce, which is highly possible to get if we back up even more. So, and from here, we do have a rough iron once again, and this one is a tough one, and I under adjust this one slightly, which is going to make it miss there to the right. But here you can see 2 type of approaches on hole number 4, but it's based on the wind really. And but I would still want to say that if you're going to play master, you're going to have to go for this power slice to get yourself around the green. Then you will have to rely on your skill hitting perfect from the rough or from the sand if you end up there. I'm gonna have to do that. I don't like it, because I don't like it to be decided from that area when it comes to getting an eagle or not, but something that we do have to do. Hole number 5. Here I'm going to show you with a Kingmaker, and I think honestly a power 3 ball, a Kingmaker, would be very good on this very tough par 3. We see our opponent playing with a power 1 win 5 ball and eye ball, and I don't blame him for doing that. And you know, there is special balls out there. I'm not going to show you an alternative with a special ball, as I feel pretty dialed in with a Kingmaker after I have been playing this hole a couple of times with my accounts. So I'm going to continue play with a Kingmaker. Might going to change to a Centurion, as I do get a little bit more wind resistance, but I still get the power 3, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the red ring to the left by the rough line. And we're going to back up a little bit from when we come to plus yardage and have the white ring to the right dropping down into the sand. From here, we're going to mixture a little bit with the backspin. In this case, I'm going to go with 3.5 bar backspin combined with 3 bars of side spin to the right. And that's going to get us fairly close. But also, last but not least, we're going to play medium distance plus 20%, which is 1-1 plus 1. So 11.8 rings for a 10.8 mile per hour. Hit the ball perfect, and we bounce there on the fairway. You can see we're coming in nicely towards the pin. We just missed that one a little bit to the left. And even though it looks like we're coming in too hot, we don't. So if we would be getting that one to the hole, we most likely would be getting it in there. So tweak that one a little bit. Use a 3.5 bar side spin to the right to combine with a 3.5 bar backspin. Then you actually should be fine. Hole number 6, everyone, and here I'm going to give you the drive. I'm going to give you 2 type of approach shots, and I'm going to explain why. I'm going to explain why. First, the drive. 10% extra is needed, or I will say a must. We're going to use a 5.5 bar topspin and as much side spin to the right possible. We're going to go back with our adjustment to the +4 yard mark. So when the plus yardage says +4, there is where we're going to start. Then we're going to adjust the max distance with a 10% extra. And even though it shows that we're sometimes going to have to use overpower, we are not going to use overpower. We're only going to use a smidge of curl to the right, stay away from overpower, then we're going to end up very nicely there on the top. You maybe wonder, wouldn't it be better to play with a power 4 ball? I don't think that you will get that such an advantage doing that on this hole, because there is two ways to play with a kingmaker that both will give you a chance, not a good chance, it will still give you a chance, and it will be the same type of shot with a power 4 ball. The only thing would, if you have a hard time to judge the distance with the drive, then you can maybe pull a power 4 ball, so you make sure that even if you go super short, you can reach to where you want to. So the first type of approach is going to be just after the rough, as you can see there. So we are going to use as much side spin to the left possible. So we are taking ourselves away from the sand. 1 bar topspin, and the thing that I'm doing here is that I'm adjusting 11.5 rings for a 10.5 miles per hour. But I want you to play with a 1-to-1 +2. 1-to-1 +2, it will help you to compensate for the massive push you're going to get from the wind, combined with the fact that we are having a downhill adjustment. So just missing that 1 ring makes us get a way different type of bounce than we're looking for. But once again, this is a super tough one to get in the hole. Second approach is a 4 bar topspin with as much side spin to the left possible. And we're going to back up and play before the rough here, and aim slightly to the right of the pin. And we're going to do the same type of thing here, is that we're going to over adjust our shot. So we are in a lower distance. So in this case, I'm playing this one 1-to-1 +1 instead of 1-to-1 +2. So I'm playing that one medium distance +20% or maximum distance +10%. Doesn't matter what you choose from there, it gets the same type of result. We're coming in a little bit to the right, we get a good speed, definitely tweakable, but in the end, hole 6 is just an eagle hole in my opinion. If we do get an hole in one, sure, then we're gonna be happy. Hole number 7, par 3, the final par 3, and here we're going to play with a power 3 ball. I think the power 3 ball is going to be perfect here, as we do then get the rough line as an absolute perfect spot. And that I mean with a sniper level 10. If you have a level 9, you're going to lose, what is it, 4 yards I think, or 2 yards, something like that, which will make you have to back up a little bit more. That will make you have to change the spin adjustment just a little bit. So for this hole, and this time, we are going to play this one 15% downhill. Not 10, not 20, 15, with a maximum distance adjustment. And it's going to be a sniper. It's like the lower, like the more wind resistant ball and less power ball we're using, the more in between clubs we're going to get with our adjustment. It's going to be tougher. But you can see here that we are using, with the white ring by the rough line, 4 bars of backspin, 4 bars of side spin to the left. And you can see here that the ball guideline is basically kind of stuck on the green, which is a very nice position there for us to, we aim deliberately a lot to the right to get the ball to bounce and roll down towards the pin. And now we're going to adjust, as I said, 15% extra, super important. And we are playing that one 13.1 reins. So it's basically 1-to-1 plus 2, not really, but close to it. And you can see we bounce very nicely there on the fairway, and we do get the roll, and we get super close getting a hole-in-one. I do see this one dropping for several players out there as well, and I think it's going to be a very interesting one going forward. Hole number 8. Here we cannot go to the left, so I'm going to play with a quarterback, and I'm going to play with 1 bar topspin. I'm going to back up, playing at the plus 10 yard mark with a power 3 ball. And here, once again, a power 3 ball with more wind resistance would be a perfect ball to play with. Bunny ball, what do we have? Vintage ball, or something like that. 1 bar top spin, as I said, no curl, no side spin whatsoever. Just gonna get ourselves up there. Aiming like this going to mean that we're going to end up in the 305 yard mark area. And from here, we do have a sniper. And the sniper here is going to be definitely a possible drop. It's going to be a tough one. I'm going to have to rely on the ball having to roll pretty far towards the pin. But definitely going to give us an opportunity, which, you know, I like. I like the opportunities that we do get from distance, where we have to dial in a sniper, we have to dial in a long iron, or something like that. That is, in the end, show on skill, which I really like when it comes to Master Division tournaments. So our opponent playing with the new, I think that is Solstice ball. I don't know how to pronounce that, but I think that's the new ball. That is. And so getting it up there, and in the end getting that ball on the green, it's nice, not that close, but getting it up there at least. So our turn, we're playing with the sniper, playing with, once again, a kingmaker. I'm going with max side spin and 1 bar top spin. The reason I want to use 1 bar top spin here, and the reason I'm using so much side spin especially, is because I want to stay away from having to adjust down into the sand. And that speaks towards using a ball with the same type of abilities, but only with a little bit more side spin. So I would love to play this one with a Centurion instead, giving myself the option to stay away from adjusting down into the sand, because adjusting down into the sand is going to make it hard for us to be able to replicate. So getting this ball to bounce, we're going to go short, and the reason we go short is 2 reasons. First, we do not push up anything from the sand. 2, we hit a great ball. This, once again, it is a possibility. The adjustment for the second shot is a 1-to-1 plus 1 adjustment from the 305 yard mark. Hole number 9, and here I'm going to play with a power 4 ball, and you're going to see where I'm going to, like what I'm looking for with approach. Max overpower, max top spin, and 3 bars of side spin to the right, and then a smidge of curl to the right. Just put our ball to the right side more than to the left. Sure, we do have the trees in the center there, but we do need to play this one aggressively to end up at a point around 390 yards is what I'm looking for. If you do have a power 3 ball, then you still go with the same type of approach. That's not going to change. But I would definitely prefer using a power 4 ball, even maybe a power 5 ball at sometimes. And then you're going to find yourself in 2 different ways. Like our opponent is in one way, getting here on the fairway before the water, trying to bounce over. And I think that's very important for you to have in mind, that the compressed ball guideline is going to be huge here. So not adjusting this one properly is going to make yourself go short and risk going into the water. But if you're not using a power 4 ball, it's going to be tough to play anything else, especially if you're not having like an Apocalypse 7 also. So this is an option, but this option to play here on the fairway is 100% just to secure the eagle. Don't take any unnecessary risk, because dropping an eagle here from this type of from that type of bounce, that or that type of fairway that our opponent is bouncing on, that's going to be super tough. so rather secure the eagle. But once we're getting up here to around 390 yards, then we can go for the rough bump. And the rough bump is tough, but it's an option. And I'm going to use 2.5 bar backspin combined with 4 bars of side spin to the left. I'm not using that in this example. But I'm doing so 2.5 bar backspin and 4 bars of side spin to the left. And we are going to aim with the ball guideline slightly to the right of the pin. And here comes the tricky part. If we turn the screen around with the arrow pointing north, the trees will be in our face. So I kind of rushed it and zoomed out, and then I forgot one super important ingredient with this shot is that once we have adjusted our shot, we need to turn the screen around and push up 1.5 ring towards the pin, just to compensate for the loss of distance that we are going to get. So we bouncing on the same spot. This is definitely going to be a possible drop. Super tough adjustment though. So it's going to be a super interesting, a lot of super in my Swinglish today. But it's going to be very interesting to play the Master Division tournament to see what we can get. I do believe that hole 4 is a must eagle, which is going to make us having a -13 as a par score over 9 holes. That will most likely make it so like a -22, 23, 24s will definitely go into the weekend round in my opinion. Then in the weekend round, I think we will have to get up there to -28, 29, 30 to be able to win some banner, maybe even lower depending on how it will look. So if you do have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. Also, if you like the video, take your time, hit thumbs up. Update the text guys will be out on Patreon. Sign up to the link in the video description down below. Timestamp there is as well in the description down below, so you can navigate yourself through this playthrough. Video sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. Good luck in the Fuji Open Tournament.